The Green Screen Environmental Film Festival is the only film festival of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean. It's a festival that focuses on environmental and sustainability themed films. And this year we're actually celebrating our 10th year being a film festival in Trinidad and Tobago. Our focus is really trying to sort of use media and use these sorts of cultural artifacts in the form of film to make environmental issues a little bit more interesting, a little bit more sexy, a little bit more, a little bit more exciting, because ultimately, at least from my experience, the general public is a little bit reticent about environmental issues. They might find them a little bit boring. They might find the information a little bit dry. Even though we're a small island and we're dealing with issues related to climate change, and these are existential issues, somehow there's a bit of a disconnect. So we really thought, 10 years ago, that film would be a good tool to use to educate people in the public. And when we started in 2011 in the backyard of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, to be honest, maybe with 50 or 60 people, we had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea where we were going. What was important to us was that we used film as a tool for education about environmental and sustainability. That was really our core thing. Build community, and let's talk about these issues that we're facing in Trinidad and Tobago. And it was really just it was meant to be a one-off thing. It was just, we'd be doing this little film series. It was called a film series, not a film festival, 10 years ago. But the response, the response was so positive and so encouraging that we realized, listen, this is something that we have to continue year on year. So we started with only international films, whatever we could find that was good on the internet, we would reach out to producers and get the content. And then eventually we realized that we are part of this film production and exhibition ecosystem in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, and we need to be facilitating local and regional filmmakers as well. 2020 was our first, post-COVID festival. Obviously, we started planning long before the pandemic was in full swing, but we had to sort of stop in our tracks for a little bit and reevaluate how we would go forward as a festival. Of course, we had to migrate to a digital platform. We had to migrate to a digital space. What that meant was taking some of the panels and discussions and engagement that we usually have in person and putting them, on the internet via Zoom, via Facebook Live, via Instagram, all of these platforms. And, I feel as though, our audience definitely has come with us to those spaces. I think that, it's a new skill set that we've had to develop in terms of, doing a virtual festival is a whole new ball game. But these are the skills that we would need to have to survive. So the festival ran between Thursday, October 29th to November 2nd. And we opened on Thursday, 29th with our opening night with the premiere of our very short mobile film competition finalists. We had 22 this year. And we also showed a film called Uncivilized, a documentary. It was shot in Dominica. During the course of the weekend, we also showed a series of local films via our local film focus on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, of course. We had films from the FAO about protected areas in Trinidad and Tobago that I actually produced, directed by Juliet Macaulay. We had a film called My Watershed, My Home by Rhonda Chansu, a local film that tells stories of people fighting for climate resilience in the hills of St. Anne's and that community. We had several local films in those packages, and we really tried this year to shift the focus back to local impacts and local solutions. That was very important to us. And probably one of the most important things that we had to figure out was how we figured out on demand. Most of our films, the lion's share of our film content was actually on our website. It might still be now, greenscreen.film in several packages where people can access them for free, and you can access them 24 hours a day. And we have several packages, including a focus on the climate crisis in the Caribbean and Latin America, a focus on heritage and sustainability, a focus on conservation. I think we call that package Ours to Protect. We also have one focusing on waste and how communities and individuals manage their waste as well. So we have, basically something for everybody, we hope. And that was probably the easiest way that people could, quickly get access to a whole range of content. Well, lucky for us, NGC came on board very early. NGC came on board before the pandemic actually hit. We had discussions very early in the year, and they demonstrated a very deep commitment to the festival and to the values that we stand for. But of course, the discussion that we had and what we planned to do, early in the year really had to sort of, shift and change. And we were lucky to have a lead sponsor like NGC, who was, very flexible and understanding, and we managed to create an online program that really worked for us in terms of play to our skills. And also sort of ensure that NGC could get the sort of engagement with the general public that I know is important to them. But of course, this year, in order to survive, we really needed that major injection of support, and luckily NGC had the vision to say, hey, let's make this happen, and let's make this happen well, hopefully we'll be able to build on that relationship and build on it, for the next 10 years of Green Screen.